Have you ever looked at your hairbrush or the shower drain and thought, where did all this hair come from? Losing a few strands here and there is normal, but when it feels like more is falling out every day, it can get a little scary. Imagine this. You catch yourself looking at old photos thinking, was my hair always this thin? Or maybe you've started avoiding mirrors, or worse, checking them every 5 minutes. If any of this sounds like you, you're definitely not alone. Millions of people wonder why their hair is falling out and what they can do about it. But here's the good news. We're going to break it all down today. Why hair loss happens, what could be causing it for you, and best of all, what you can do to help your hair get back to looking full and healthy. Some of the answers might surprise you, and a few of the solutions could be easier than you think. Let's start by understanding one big question. Why does hair fall out? You might think of hair as just something that grows until it stops one day, but actually, each hair strand has its own life cycle. Yes, hair has a life cycle, just like plants or animals. So here's how it works. Every hair strand goes through 3 main stages. First, there's the growth phase, also called the anagen phase. This is when each hair is actively growing. For most people, this phase can last between 2 and 6 years. During this time, your hair is busy getting longer and thicker. In fact, about 90% of the hairs on your head are in this phase right now. After the growth phase, we enter what's called the resting phase, or catagen phase. Think of this as a short pause. The hair stops growing and the hair follicle, the tiny pocket in your scalp that produces hair, shrinks a little bit. This stage only lasts a few weeks, and during this time, the hair is just hanging out, not doing much. Then we move into the shedding phase, also known as the telogen phase. In this stage, the hair strand is ready to let go and fall out. And this is totally normal. In fact, it's common to lose around 50 to 100 strands of hair every day just from this natural shedding. So if you see a few hairs in the shower drain or on your pillow, don't worry, that's your body just following its normal cycle. But here's the part that can be a bit unsettling. What if it's not just a few hairs? What if it seems like more and more hair is falling out every time you look in the mirror? This can happen when something disrupts that cycle. Maybe the growth phase gets shorter, or the shedding phase speeds up, and suddenly you're losing more hair than you're growing back. So what kind of things can interrupt this cycle? Well, just like a plant needs the right balance of sunlight, water, and nutrients to grow strong, our hair needs the right care and support too. Stress, diet, genetics, and even certain habits we might not think about. All of these can play a role in how healthy our hair is and how fast it grows. And here's an interesting fact. Each hair follicle has its own timing. That means every single strand on your head is at a different part of the cycle. If all our hairs were in the same stage at the same time, then when they shed, we'd lose it all at once. But thankfully, it doesn't work that way. So the shedding is spread out over time. Everyone loses hair naturally as part of this cycle. But if you're noticing more hair than usual falling out, or seeing areas that look thinner, that's when it could mean there's a bigger issue. Now that we know the basics of how hair grows and sheds naturally, let's dive into what might be causing more hair loss than usual. You might be surprised to learn that a lot of factors affect our hair, even things we don't usually think about. First up, we've got the genetics factor. This is a big one. You might have heard terms like male pattern baldness or female pattern hair loss, which are types of hair loss that often run in families. If a parent or grandparent had thinning hair, there's a good chance you could be more likely to experience it too. But what does that really mean? Basically, for some people, the hair cycle we talked about earlier is shorter, and the growth phase might get shorter and shorter with each new strand. Over time, this leads to thinning and eventually those classic bald spots or thinning areas we often see. However, even if you have a family history of hair loss, it doesn't mean you're powerless to stop it. We'll cover ways you can support hair health later in the video. Next, let's talk about stress. And this isn't just emotional stress, it can be physical stress on the body too. You might not realize it, but your body has a big reaction to stress, and that can include affecting your hair. Let's say you go through something major, like an illness, a big change in your life, or even a bad breakup. Those events can cause hair loss because your body starts redirecting its energy to more essential systems, like your heart and lungs. Hair growth gets put on the back burner. There's actually a medical term for this. It's called telogen effluvium, which happens when a major stressor triggers a large number of hair follicles to enter the resting phase all at once. A few months later, they'll all shed together, and it can look like a lot of hair falling out at once. So if you're feeling stressed out and noticing more hair loss, it could very well be connected. The good news? When the stress goes away, the hair often grows back. But managing stress in a healthy way through things like meditation, exercise, or even just taking breaks can help your hair and your whole body stay balanced. On to the next big factor, nutrition. Think of your hair like a garden. Just like plants need water and nutrients from the soil, your hair needs specific vitamins and minerals to grow strong and healthy. If you're not getting enough of certain nutrients, like iron, vitamin D, or biotin, it can really affect your hair. For example, iron helps carry oxygen to your hair follicles, which supports growth. Without enough enough iron, hair follicles might not get the oxygen they need, and that can lead to hair thinning. Vegetarians and vegans, take note, iron and certain B vitamins can be a little trickier to get if you're not eating meat, but you can still get them from foods like leafy greens, beans, nuts, and fortified grains. Another nutrient that's super important for hair, protein. Hair is mostly made of protein, so if you're not getting enough, your body might struggle to produce new hair as quickly. If you're on a strict diet or skipping meals, this could be affecting your hair health more than you think. Hormones can also have a huge impact on our hair. Our bodies produce different hormones throughout our lives, and sometimes those changes can affect our hair growth cycle. For example, a lot of women experience hair loss after pregnancy, and this is often due to a shift in hormone levels. During pregnancy, higher estrogen levels keep hair in the growth phase longer, which is why many women find their hair looks thicker and fuller. But after the baby is born, estrogen levels drop back down, and all that hair that was hanging on starts to shed, often all at once. This is called postpartum hair loss, and it's pretty common. Then there's menopause, which can also cause thinning hair as estrogen levels change. And for both men and women, conditions like thyroid disorders can affect hair because they mess with hormone levels too. If you're noticing other symptoms along with hair loss, like fatigue, changes in weight, or mood swings, it's worth getting your hormone levels checked by a doctor. Lastly, let's talk about something we might be doing without even realizing it: our hair care habits. Sometimes the way we treat our hair can actually cause it to fall out more. For example, using a lot of heat on your hair, like blow dryers, straighteners, and curling irons, can weaken the hair strands over time, making them more likely to break. And hairstyles that pull tightly on the hair, like ponytails, braids, or buns, can cause something called traction alopecia, which is when hair falls out from being pulled too tightly. Another common mistake is overusing harsh chemicals like bleach or strong hair dyes. These can make hair more brittle and prone to breaking. Even shampooing too often or using shampoos with sulfates can dry out the scalp, stripping it of natural oils that help protect the hair. If you're noticing extra hair fall, think about your daily hair care routine. Sometimes a few simple changes, like using heat less often or switching to a gentle shampoo, can make a big difference. So those are some of the biggest hidden causes of hair loss: genetics, stress, nutrition, hormones, and hair care habits. And remember, you're not alone in this. Hair loss is a common experience for so many people, and just understanding what's causing it is a big first step in getting it under control. Now let's get to the part we've all been waiting for: the action plan. We're going to go through practical steps you can take right now to help reverse hair loss and support healthier, fuller hair. First up, let's talk about nutrition. Remember when we said hair is like a garden? Well, just like plants need water and nutrients from the soil, our hair needs vitamins and minerals to grow and stay healthy. Let's start with iron. Iron is super important for hair health because it helps deliver oxygen to the hair follicles. Without enough oxygen, your hair can struggle to grow. Foods rich in iron include things like spinach, red meat, lentils, and even dark chocolate. Yes, that's right, chocolate. Then there's biotin, often known as the hair vitamin. Biotin helps with keratin production, which is what our hair is made of. You can get biotin from foods like eggs, nuts, seeds, and sweet potatoes. Vitamin D is another essential nutrient. Low vitamin D levels can lead to hair loss, so make sure you're getting enough sunlight or adding vitamin D-rich foods like fatty fish or fortified cereals into your diet. And let's not forget protein. Hair is mostly made of protein, so if you're on a low-protein diet, your hair might not be getting the building blocks it needs to grow. Try to include protein-rich foods like eggs, yogurt, beans, and lean meats. Next up is stress. Now, we know life can get hectic, and sometimes stress is unavoidable, but chronic stress can lead to a type of hair loss called telogen effluvium, where stress pushes a lot of hair follicles into the resting phase too early, causing noticeable shedding a few months later. So, how do we manage stress in a way that's good for our hair and our overall health? One of the simplest ways is through deep breathing exercises. Even just taking 5 minutes to do some slow, deep breaths can help calm your nervous system and reduce stress. Another great method is regular exercise. Exercise releases endorphins, also known as the feel-good hormones, which can help lower stress levels. And don't worry, you don't need to hit the gym every day. Even a quick walk outside can make a big difference. Meditation and mindfulness practices are also incredibly helpful. Apps like Headspace or Calm offer short guided meditations that can fit into into your day. No matter how busy you are, just a few minutes a day can help you feel more grounded and relaxed, which might help your hair too. Now, let's get into some practical hair care habits that can help prevent hair loss. First, be gentle with your hair. Avoid brushing it when it's wet, since that's when hair is at its weakest. If you do need to detangle, try using a wide tooth comb and start from the ends, working your way up to avoid breakage. Another tip is to avoid heat styling as much as possible. We know how convenient it is to use a straightener or curling iron, but too much heat can weaken hair and cause it to break. If you do use heat, always apply a heat protectant spray to minimize damage. Consider switching to a satin or silk pillowcase. It might sound fancy, but the softer fabric creates less friction on your hair as you sleep, which can reduce breakage and keep hair looking healthier. And when it comes to washing, avoid overwashing your hair. Washing too often can strip your scalp of natural oils that help protect the hair. Aim to wash your hair 2 to 3 times a week if possible, and try to use a gentle sulfate-free shampoo. Taking care of your scalp is just as important as taking care of your hair. Think of your scalp as the foundation for healthy hair growth. One way to keep your scalp healthy is through regular scalp massages. Massaging your scalp helps increase blood flow to the hair follicles, which can encourage hair growth. You can do this yourself by using your fingertips to gently rub your scalp in circular motions for about 5 minutes each day. It's relaxing and great for your hair.
Now let's talk about the accelerators on hair growth and the brakes on hair growth. There are many accelerators on hair growth, but the first one that I really want to underscore is blood flow itself, which equates to the delivery of nutrients and oxygen. This is very important, and it explains a lot of the treatments for halting and reversing hair loss. For instance, one of the longest standing treatments for halting and reversing hair loss is so-called minoxidil. Minoxidil, sometimes also referred to by the brand name Rogaine, was actually a drug that was developed to treat hypertension. So this is a cardiac drug that lowers blood pressure, and it does that by causing vasodilation. It allows more blood flow, not just to the hairs on your scalp, but to hairs everywhere on your body. And indeed, most people don't realize this, but minoxidil won't just slow the loss of hair from your scalp. It is also effective at slowing the loss of hair elsewhere in your body. How does it do that? Well, you now know one of the major ways it does that. It does that by extending the anagen phase. So it basically makes that phase a bit longer. It doesn't make it much longer, which is why for most people who are losing their hair quickly or who have already lost their hair, minoxidil alone is not going to be a sufficient treatment. However, minoxidil has been shown to be effective at slowing rates of hair loss in people that are starting to experience some hair loss. I'll get into dosages and things of that sort a little bit later. But right now, I just want to really focus on the logic of why people would take this drug, which is lowering hypertension at all as it relates to hair loss, right? That might seem like kind of crazy until you understand the anatomy and the growth of hairs, which you now do. So that's what minoxidil is doing. It's creating more blood flow to the hairs, which, because minoxidil does have this positive effect, at least most people would like to slow their rates of hair loss on their scalp anyway, it tells you that blood flow and delivery of oxygen and other nutrients from the blood is pretty critical, if not very critical, for the support of the hair growth cycle itself. Now, again, we haven't talked at all about the sorts of chemicals or the signals within the body, such as hormones, that actually direct the growth of hairs. Here, we're just talking about a mechanical change, allow more blood flow to the region and thereby extend the anagen phase, which is exactly what happens with minoxidil. Now, minoxidil does have other effects, and this is why dosing of minoxidil becomes a little bit complicated and can be a little bit tricky to troubleshoot.
You can also use natural oils like rosemary oil or peppermint oil. These oils are known to promote circulation and can be mixed with a carrier oil like coconut or olive oil and gently massaged into the scalp. Just let it sit for about 15 minutes before washing it out. If you're having trouble getting all the nutrients you need from food alone, supplements might be a helpful addition. There are specific hair supplements that include vitamins like biotin, iron, and vitamin D, which are key for hair health. However, remember that more isn't always better. Taking too much of certain vitamins can actually harm your hair, so it's best to talk to a healthcare provider before starting any supplement routine. They can help you find the right balance based on your needs. If you've tried everything and you're still experiencing a lot of hair loss, don't hesitate to reach out to a professional. Dermatologists and trichologists specialize in skin and hair health and can provide you with personalized advice based on your specific situation. They may recommend treatments like minoxidil, a topical solution proven to help with certain types of hair loss. There are also laser therapies therapies and other options that might be worth considering, especially if you're dealing with a more advanced stage of hair loss. Seeing a professional can be a great way to get a clearer picture of what's going on and create a targeted plan for getting your hair back to its healthiest state. So there you have it, an action plan with real, actionable steps you can take to help prevent and even reverse hair loss. Remember, hair health is a journey. It might take a little time to see results, but every step you take can make a difference. We've covered a lot of ground so far, and now it's time to hear from people who've put these strategies into action and seen real results. These stories show that hair loss isn't always permanent, and with the right steps, you can make a big difference. Let's start with James. He was in his late 20s and began noticing more and more hair falling out, especially during stressful times. James worked in a fast-paced job, barely had time for meals, and often skipped the gym. He initially thought his hair loss was genetic, but after doing some research, he decided to make a few lifestyle changes. James started by improving his diet. He added more protein and iron-rich foods, like eggs and leafy greens, to his daily meals. He also tried meditation for the first time, taking just 10 minutes each morning to clear his mind and breathe deeply. Within a few months, James noticed a difference. Not only was he feeling more energetic, but his hair loss had slowed down. Over time, his hair became fuller, and now he even says it's stronger than it's ever been. Next, there's Maria. Maria, in her early 40s, noticed thinning around her temples and was shocked. She loved using heated styling tools every day and wore tight ponytails for work, not realizing these habits could damage her hair. Determined to make a change, Maria switched up her hair care routine. First, she ditched the daily heat styling and instead tried air drying her hair more often. She also invested in a silk pillowcase and started doing weekly scalp massages with a little rosemary oil mixed into her regular conditioner. After a few months of these changes, Maria was thrilled to see new baby hairs growing in around her temples. Her hair felt healthier, thicker, and she's now totally hooked on her new routine. Finally, let's talk about Alex. Alex was in his mid-30s and had been dealing with thinning hair for a while. He tried making a few changes himself but wasn't seeing much progress. That's when he decided to consult a dermatologist. The dermatologist recommended a supplement containing biotin, zinc, and vitamin D, along with a topical solution. Alex was skeptical, but he stuck with it, applying the solution every day and taking the supplements as recommended. It took about 3 months before he saw noticeable changes, but now Alex says his hair is visibly fuller and he feels more confident about it every day. These stories show that there's no single solution to hair loss. It's about finding what works best for you. Whether it's focusing on nutrition, changing your hair care habits, managing stress, or consulting a professional, there are steps you can take to support healthier hair growth. As we wrap up, let's go over some bonus tips and a few common mistakes to avoid. These little adjustments can make a big difference in keeping your hair healthier and making sure all your hard work pays off. Our first bonus tip is a simple one. Avoid washing your hair with very hot water. Hot water can strip your scalp and hair of natural oils, leaving it dry and brittle. Instead, try using lukewarm water when washing and finish with a quick rinse of cooler water. This helps seal the hair cuticles, making hair look smoother and healthier. Next, don't underestimate the power of a good night's sleep. When you sleep, your body repairs and regenerates, and that includes your hair. Poor sleep can raise stress levels, which can disrupt your hair cycle. So, aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night. A restful night can help support better hair health over time. The type of brush you use can also impact your hair. For example, a boar bristle brush or a detangling brush can be much gentler on your hair, reducing breakage. When brushing, start at the ends and work your way up to prevent pulling and unnecessary breakage. Now, let's look at a common mistake: using too many hair products. While it's tempting to try every new hair product out there, overusing products can lead to buildup on the scalp, clogging hair follicles, and potentially causing more hair loss. Instead, keep your routine simple with a gentle shampoo, conditioner, and maybe 1 or 2 treatments or oils. Another common mistake? Forgetting to care for your scalp. Healthy hair starts with a healthy scalp. Avoid scratching or over-scrubbing it, as this can damage the skin and hair follicles. Remember, a clean, moisturized scalp is the foundation for better hair growth. Last but not least, one of the biggest mistakes is giving up too soon. Hair growth takes time, and results aren't usually instant. Many of these methods can take at least a few months to show results. So be patient and consistent. Good things really do come to those who wait. So there you have it. These bonus tips and mistakes to avoid are the finishing touches to your action plan for better hair health. Remember, small changes can add up to big results over time, so keep going, stay consistent, and give your hair the care it deserves. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. We've gone from understanding the basics of why hair falls out to uncovering hidden causes, practical solutions, real-life success stories, and extra tips to help you get the best results. Hair loss can feel frustrating and overwhelming, but with the right knowledge and a few smart changes, you really can make a difference. Remember, this journey is a marathon, not a sprint. Whether you're starting with a new diet, managing stress, or trying out scalp massages, consistency is key. Every little effort you make for your hair health counts, and over time, those small changes can lead to big transformations. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more tips for healthier hair and a healthier life. And share this video with friends or family who might be on their own hair journey. Sometimes, we just need a little support and encouragement to get started. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, check out another one: 11 Best Foods to Help Your Body Fight Cancer Naturally.